Good morning to one and all. Welcome to online lecture series supported by KSRM College of Engineering Autonomous Kadapa. Myself Dr. K. Srinivasa, working as Professor and HOD of AIML department in KSRM College of Engineering Kadapa. Today we will discuss about how to extract the user interest from weblog data based on web usage mining. So, before entering to this concept, I will give main objective of this concept. It is not exaggerated to say that the World Wide Web has the most excited impact on the human society nowadays. It changes the way of doing business, providing and receiving education, managing the organization, etc. Today, web has the most excited impact. So, today web is storing large amount of data or information and many recommendations systems we have, but even though we have many recommendation system, only few of the systems are giving exact information. So, many recommendation systems are not extracting the user interest. So, one of the main reason is that exactly it cannot extract the user interest. So, therefore, analyzing the user's log data and extracting the user interest from weblog data is the many important research topic of web usage mining. And in this concept, here the extract of user interest can be done based on the weblog data. And not only the user interest, we are going to extracting the two types of user interest. One is long term interest and short term interest. And apart from that, we are also concentrating on updating the user interest. It is nothing but as the time increasing, the user interest can be varied. So, he can change his mindset. So, we can also concentrating on the updating of user interest. Apart from that, we are discussing the comparison between the existing system and proposed system. So, the web is a huge dynamic and mostly unstructured data repository. So, the data which is present on the web is mainly useful for many purposes. Okay? So, mainly we are discussing for three things here. One is for normal user and second one is web service providers and the third one is business analyst. So, whenever if you take the normal user, the web will be used for extracting the user information. For getting the required data or information, the normal users can use the web. And second case, when in case of web service provider, the World Wide Web is mainly useful for extracting the usage behavior. Usage behavior is nothing but how the users are accessing the website, how the users are accessing the web pages. And the third one is the business analyst. So, for the business analyst, the World Wide Web mainly useful for extracting the user interest. So, these are the main things where the World Wide Web can be useful. So, the main concentration is on the web mining. So, finally, the total web mining is divided into three categories. One is the web content mining, the second one is web structure mining and the third one is web usage mining. Web content mining mainly focuses on extracting the data from the content of the web, means from the web pages the users can extract the required information. And the second one is web structure mining. So, this web structure mining mainly focuses on the underlying link structure of the web. It is nothing but how the web pages are accessed, how the web pages are present. And the third last one is web usage mining. So, the web usage mining mainly focuses on extracting the user's interest. So, these are the three types of web mining. In web mining, the data can be collected at a different side, whether it is at the client side or server side, from any side the data will be connected. So, our research work mainly focuses on the third type of web mining, that is nothing but web usage mining. In the web usage mining, there are mainly three tasks. One is pre-processing, and the second one is pattern discovery, and the third one is pattern analysis. The first one, pre-processing. So, pre-processing is nothing but before doing any operation on the web or before extracting any data from the web, first you have to pre-process the data. So, pre-processing is nothing but cleaning the unwanted data or cleaning the missing data. Once the data has been cleaned, then we can do many operations on the data cleaned. So, some of the operations we can apply on the data are association rule, clustering, classification and sequential pattern. So, association rule is nothing but it finds the relationship between the items which are purchased by the customer. So, we can find the relationship between the items. And the second one is clustering. So, clustering is nothing but here we have not predefined groups. So, whenever if a new data comes, then it will classify the data which belongs to any and not defined predefined group. So, that is called as a clustering. So, consider an example for clustering. We have a set of houses present in a village. So, I want to form the houses based on some characteristic like based on the direction of the house. So, generally we have the four direction, one is the north, east, west and south. So, the houses which are having the north face are present in one group and the houses which are having the east face having another group. So, that because we have the four direction, so we can have the four types of cluster and the groups are not predefined here in clustering. And the third one is classification. So, classification is nothing but it maps the data to the predefined groups or classes. So, the difference between clustering and classification is whereas in clustering the groups are not predefined, but whereas in classification the classes are predefined, the groups are predefined. So, consider an example for classification. We have some set of the students and we have some information about that students like what is the roll number of the student, what is the name of the student and what are the marks obtained in different subject and what is the class of that student, whether he belongs to first class or second class or third class. For example, I have taken some condition like this, if the marks greater than 60, we can classify that student as first class. And if the marks which are present between 50 to 60, we can classify that student as a second class. And for example, if the marks less than 50, I can say that student belongs to third class. So, we have given three conditions, so we have three different classes. So, if any new student comes with some marks, then we can classify that student based on his marks. For example, if the new student is X having the marks equal to 90. So, here the new student marks are 90 which belongs to the first class. So, we can classify the new student as a first class. So, that is called as a classification. And the fourth one is a sequential pattern. So, sequential pattern means it identifies in which sequence the customers are buying the products. Example, generally if you are going to purchasing a laptop, first what we can do, first we can purchase the laptop, after that we can have a software and after that based on our requirement we can transaction different things. So, this is the order of purchasing the items in our transaction. So, that is called a sequential pattern. So, that is the second task, pattern discovery. And the third task of web usage mining is pattern analysis. So, pattern analysis is nothing but once we have classified the data or once we have extracted the data, before submitting any data to the user, the result must and should be analyzed, the patterns must and should be analyzed. So, this task is called as pattern analysis. So, these are the main three tasks in web usage mining. So, usage processing and sequence pattern discovery and pattern analysis. Today, web has turned to be the largest information source available. So, we have many recommendation system, and that recommendation systems are not giving enough personalized help to the user, because it is not exactly extracting the user interest. So, therefore, analyzing the user's data and extracting the user's interest from weblog data is the main important challenging concept of web usage mining. So, the user interest can be extracted based on the web usage data, based on the weblog data. Once the interest can be extracted, they will be useful for the business decisions. And coming to the review of literature, so we have many researchers, and the different researchers have developed different user model according to their statistics they have taken. So, some of the researchers have developed the user model based on the types of users with sample documents, and some of the users have developed the user model based on the interest which are extracted from the weblog data. So, whatever the model they have developed, finally the user interest can be extracted from the usage behavior and user information. The existing systems give the user a list of web pages that he or she might be interested in. So, none of them give the user a list of interested domain. The main reason is these systems are extracting only the web pages that he or she interested in. So, none of the models are extracting the domain of the user interest. So, they have not concentrated on the user interest based on the time period. So, based on the time period is nothing but the long time interest or short time interest. So, this is the research gap. And coming to the main objective of our concept, here we are going to extracting the user interest from weblog data. These user interest can be obtained from the visit time and visit density of the user, and also we can focus on the updating of user interest. Means as the time increasing, the user can change his mind. So, he can purchase some other different items. So, he can change his mind of interest. And to identify, here we can identify the extraction of long time interest and short time interest, and also we can show the comparison between the existing system and proposed system. So, coming to the what are the methods I have used here. One method I have used for extracting the user interest. First, we can introduce the weblog data. So, weblog data is nothing but it gives information about the user accessing, means which users are accessing which pages at what time, what date, and which topic they have searched. So, this information is called as weblog data. So, this weblog data can be used as the first step. We can extract the weblog data, and after getting the weblog data, we have different algorithms, and using that algorithms we can extract the long time interest as well as the short time interest. After that, we can form the groups based on the similarity between the groups using the k-means clustering. So, this is the one method I have used. So, first I have extracted the user interest from weblog data, and next extracted the long time interest and short time interest, and after that the user interests are categorized into different groups based on the category using k-means algorithm. So, this is the first method, and here I am going to discussing about the k-means clustering. So, already we discussed about the clustering concept. So, clustering is nothing but it maps the data to the not predefined groups or classes, means the groups and classes are not predefined. So here whenever if the data present, then how many number of the clusters you want to create. So that number first you have to identify. Once we identify how many number of the clusters we are going to creating, so that such number of the points you have to take as the cluster center. And second, we can find the distance between each and every data point with the cluster center, and we can assign each point to the cluster whose distance between the point and the cluster center is minimum. So wherever the center distance is minimum, then that point is analyzed to that particular cluster. And next step, whenever the new data point is analyzed to classify to one given cluster, then that center of that cluster will be changed. So you have to recalculate the center of the cluster, and this process is repeated until there will be no change. So using this algorithm we can calculate the number of the clusters. Once we have extracted the data, we have extracted the user interest based on the category. So this is the algorithm. And next algorithm, here I am specifying the algorithm which is used for extracting the short time interest category. So short time interest is nothing but it is the category which is used for the shortest period of time. So shortest period interest is nothing but it is a category which is used for the shortest period of time. So here we will discuss how to extract the short time interest. So the first step is first you have to collect the records of user from the records with the category. So how many number of the users are present and what are the names, etc. So that information you have to collect, and that information will be placed under the user record. That is the first step. Next, second, we can classify the records based on the category the user has visited. So category is nothing but, for example, if you see any if the user wants to search for the one programming language C, okay. So what is the category of that keyword here? Programming language. So based on the category the user visited, we can classify all the records and we can store that records under the record. Second step. And next, third step is we can do the loop for n number of the time, where n is nothing but total how many number of the records are present. So n equal to category of belongs to that particular category ij. N is the total number of the categories present. Next, we can sort that n value in the sequential order. After that, we can calculate the density of value. So density is nothing but the eligible probability. So means how many number of the times the total category is visited. For example, the user has searched the web for total 10 times. For example, out of 10 times he has searched for one category for 5 times. So what is the density of that particular category? 5 by 10. So out of 10 searches, he has searched the web for 5 times for the particular category. So its density is 5 by 10 because he searched the web for the corresponding category for 5 times. So calculate the density. Once the density is calculated, next we can compare the probability. So where the probability is nothing but the eligible densities. So previous step we have calculated the density. So based on that we can calculate the eligible probabilities, eligible densities. So that is called probability. So that probability is compared with some minimum probability value. If the calculated probability is less than or equal to the given minimum probability value, that is a one condition to be satisfied. And the second condition is the total time should be less than or equal to L time minimum. So here I have taken one variable which stores shortest time. So that variable I have taken as a L time minimum. So that time value should be less than or equal to shortest period. So, if these two conditions are satisfied, then we can call that category as a short time interest. So, this is the algorithm here I am approaching for calculating the short time interest. And next we will discuss another algorithm used for extracting the long time interest. So, this algorithm is almost all similar to the previous algorithm. So, but the main difference is here we have two different conditions. So, the two conditions are, whereas in short time interest category the condition should be less than or equal to, but whereas in this long term interest the two conditions are must and should be greater than. So, first condition is the given time value should be greater than or equal to long period time, and the second condition is the given probability value is greater than or equal to the eligible density probability. So, these two conditions are satisfied, then we can call that interest as a long time interest. So, long time interest is nothing but it is the category which is visited for the longest period of time. So, this category called long time interest. So, using these two algorithm we can extract the short time interest as well as long time interest. So, these are the main algorithm and main method I am going to using. So, next we will discuss the results and what is the discussion of our concept here. So, first here see here, whenever we have opened a web, then how we can search the web, we can give the keyword. So, based on the keyword we can search the web. So, once a keyword has given, then we can have the data, that data is called history, search history of a user. So, search history is nothing but what is the history of that particular user. So, means it gives information about which keyword the given user is searched. So, this information called user search history. So, example for user search history, see here I have taken one user, user 1. So, it is having two information like the time. So, time indicates at what time this particular keyword has searched. So, time as well as the keyword. So, if you see first row here 10, 20, 20. So, at 10, 20 time the user 1 has searched for the keyword C language. So, like that different keywords are searched at a different time information. So, this total table we can call it as a user search history. So, once we got the user search history, then based on the similarity between the keywords we can form the groups using k-means algorithm, we can create the groups. So, that is called as query groups. So, how the query groups are generated? Based on the similarity between the keywords using k-means algorithm. So, example here we have the three groups, group 1, group 2 and group 3. So, if you see the group 1 category, we have two keywords, one is some phone and second one is the latest model, and second group we have Bank of America and Bank of Baroda. So, third group we have games, toys, some used games. So, for example, if we take the second group, we have two keywords, one is the Bank of America and Bank of Baroda. So, the distance or the similarity between these two category is very less. So, that is why these two keywords are placed in a group. So, like that we can form the query groups. So, that is the second data we can have. So, second table shows that query groups. Next, we can have the users weblog data with category wise. So, keyword is different with the category. So, category is nothing but sum of the collection of keywords called a category. So, weblog is nothing but it gives the total information about user accessing the web. So, total information is nothing but which user, at what time, at what date, and what is the category and what is the URL and how many times the user has searched the web. So, this total information we can call it as users weblog data. So, see the table here, we have some information like user, date and time, category, URL, count. So, user is nothing but the name of the user, and date and time is nothing but at what time, at what date, and what is the category he has searched, and what is the URL, particular URL. Example, if you see the C language, if you type C language, we can have many number of the URL, but among many URL we are going to selecting one particular required URL. So, that selected required URL will be displayed here, URL. And count means how many times that particular category is searched. So, this information we can call it as users weblog data. Once we have extracted or once we have got the weblog data, then we can extract the user interest, long time interest and short time interest. So, this table shows that the user's short period search result. So, here the total number of the users are classified into 4 types according to our example. So, based on how many times the sites have been visited by the user. So, that is the first column indicates the number of visited records, and the second one, the second column indicates how many number of the users belongs to each category, each group, that is the second column, and the third column indicates what is the interest, how many number of the user interests are regarded as true. So, that indicated with the third column, and the fourth column indicates the success rate. So, success rate is nothing but the division of second and third. So, how many number of the users are present divided by how many number of the user interest regarded as correct. So, that is called as a success rate. So, see the table here, the first column we have number of the records. So, first we have 1 to 50. So, 1 to 50 number of the users are 10, means the number of the users 10 are present who have visited the sites between 1 to 50, and the second one indicates 22 users are present and those 22 users have visited the sites between 51 to 100. So, like that we can have the number of the user, and the third column good interest. So, among 10 user only 6 user interests are regarded as true, and the fourth one is success rate. It is nothing but what is the proportion, what is the probability of success rate. So, this indicates user's short period search result. And see here, example I am taking here from the weblog data. I have collected some information for one user. I have collected one user, and that particular user has searched the web at different times. So, x-axis indicates at what time, what date he has searched the web, and y-axis here I am taking as a density. Density is nothing but the frequency, the count of that particular category. So, for example, here I have taken 3 keywords, that particular user have taken 3 keywords named as category 1, category 2 and category 3. So, this graph indicates at what time this particular user has visited each of 3 categories, at how much count, how much density, and from this graph we can observe that the category 3 is the short period interest, because category 3 is the category which is visited for the short period of time. So, from this graph we can say that the category 3 is the short time interest. So, similarly we can extract the long period interest. So, this table is similar to the same previous one, the 4 columns are same. So, number of visited record, number of users and number of good interest, and what is the success rate. And the second one, here we will discuss how to extract a long time interest. So, long time interest is nothing but it is the interest or category which is visited for the long period of time. So, if you see the same diagram for one user, that particular user has visited the 3 categories named 1, 2, 3 at different time period with different density. So, by observing this graph, we can say that the category 1 and 2 are the long time interest. So, like this we can extract the short time interest as well as the long time interest. So, category 1 and 2 are the long time interest. Okay. And next here we will see the comparison between the existing system and proposed system. Already we have two methods for extracting the user interest, like a priori algorithm and FP growth algorithm. So, whereas in the existing system it will take more time for execution of the program for extracting the user interest. So, if you see this graph, as the support value is increasing, the time value is reducing, but we can get the correct interest when we have less value of support. If the support value is less, then automatically here we have more number of time for execution in the case of existing system. But if you take the proposed system, there is a proportionate relation between the support value and execution time. So, as the support value is increasing, then the time for execution is also increasing. So, there is a proportionate relation. So, that is the difference between existing and proposed system. And not only the web data, we can also extract the spatial data. So, spatial data is nothing but where each and every data point is having some location in the geographical space. Some location, some direction is nothing but like different direction, north, east, west, south, etc., and some location like adjacent or nearby some location. So, this type of the data is called as spatial data. It is nothing but based on the spatial data also the user interest can be changed. For example, there is one user named user 1. At one particular location he is having some interest, and if he moves to some other different location, then based on that location his interest can be changed. For example, there is one user X and that user has visited one city called Hyderabad. Whenever he visited the Hyderabad, then he purchased some different items. And similarly, the same user X has visited some Ooty. So, whenever he visited the place Ooty, based on that place, that his interest can be changed. Like example, generally if you go to the Ooty, we can purchase the items with wool items we can purchase generally. So, means whenever the location will be changed, then normally the interest of that users can be changed. So, this type of the data also we can extract. So, see here, for one user the following figure shows that category 2 is the, I am taking one user, user 1 and location 1. So, here density how many times? 3 category, category 1 and 2. So, the same user has visited different places. So, category 2 is the highest density. So, at that particular location LOC 1, this user has searched category 2. So, similarly, if he has visited another location LOC 2, second location, so based on that location LOC 2, he has searched for different category. So, if you see the diagram, category 3 is having the highest density. So, the same user at location 1 category 2 and same user at location 2 category 3 is the highest density value. So, based on the location also the interest of the user can be changed. So, we will see the time complexity difference between existing and proposed system. In the existing system, the time complexity of a priori algorithm is big O of 2 power n, whereas in FP growth algorithm the time complexity is a big O of n square, where n is the number of items. Okay. So, big O of 2 power n and big O of n square, but whereas the time complexity of our proposed system is a big O of n. So, the time complexity of our proposed system is very less when compared with the existing systems. So, coming to the conclusion, the main goal is to extract the user interest from weblog data. So, here we have proposed a different algorithm for extracting the user interest. So, not only the normal user interest, we can also extract the long time interest and short time interest. Once we have extracted these user interest, so this interest information will be required for many purposes, like we can use it for the normal user or for website developer, and our results shows that they are very simple. Okay, and also shows that we can extract the long time interest and the short time interest very efficiently when compared with the previous existing system, and also we can extract the user interest within less time when compared with the existing system. And coming to summary, with this work the user interest can be extracted, which are based on visit time and visit density, which can be obtained from the weblog data, and also we are focusing on updating the user interest. And finally, we are also extracting the long time interest as well as the short time interest, and also we have shown the comparison between the existing and proposed system. And future direction of my concept is not only the web data or spatial data, we can apply this concept for web content mining and for web structure mining. So, in the earlier concept we have discussed three types of web mining: web content, web structure and web usage mining, but mainly I have concentrated on web usage mining. So, my future extension of my work is we can apply these algorithms to web content mining and web structure mining. Finally, I would like to say my sincere thanks to Vice Chairman Sir, Managing Director Sir, Principal Sir, and my HODs and my faculty. Thank you for listening my online lecture series.